Hey, here we are. We are live. What's happening? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds, crypto nerds. I am so excited. We're going to be chatting with Nerd Girl, Nicole, famous Hexican,
I guess.
and my appointed liaison to educate us about PulseChain.
Educate you on the Hex community. Okay. I was in crypto before Hex. Like, just to be
I
clear.
know. We're both from the same graduating class. We came in around the same time.
Yeah, and I work for a crypto company that has nothing to do with Hex or Pulse, too.
I know. We're all typecast here. Listen, we both know.
Yeah.
You can get typecast in this industry very easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm excited to chat with you. How have you been?
Chat with you too. It's been like 2 years or more since we've streamed together.
2 years. We built the bridge. We did your show 2 years ago. I actually put a tweet out about this a little bit ago.
I saw that. I shared it.
I've got 12 and a half years left of my 15-year lockup, part of the Cuatro Cinco Club. So we did a bridge.
Yeah, we built, it was like this. Wait, other side. Hang on. Yeah.
House there. There you go. Yeah. It was something like that.
Yep.
Look at that. 2 years later.
Still standing.
Still stand. Well, maybe.
Okay.
Let's talk about this.
Okay.
It's been a long road. We were chatting before we went live. We got a bull run ahead of us.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your plan?
About what? About what?
We're gonna rip the bull run here.
Okay.
And then fade off into the sunset. That's it. Go do something different.
That's the plan. Yeah.
I love that. We were talking about that. It's like it's the next phase, right?
I feel like so for the last, I've been working in crypto for like really coming up on a decade here, and that's a really long time to be just like hyper focused on one thing. And there have been, over the course of of these last years, many opportunities for me to like step outside of crypto, and I've always not been interested in it. But lately, it seems like the more like I get so many so many opportunities, get involved with this, get involved with that. The only ones that I'm interested in are the ones that have nothing to do with crypto, which is completely different from how I felt even, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where now the things that are like appealing to me are just different.
Well, I think that's it's a natural evolutionary state, right? And I would say, some of us, the journey still continues, but knowing that, there's an expiration date to everything. Like at some point, the next, like, because we've been talking about this on my morning show, and I told you a little bit about this, before we went live, is that one of the things that I'm looking forward to is developing Chain Labs. Chain Labs were going to be a financial literacy blockchain education center, right? Like at some point, it's time to get away from the camera and just actually get down and teach people, teach kids about financial literacy, so that because they're obviously not getting it in the school systems, so that they can understand. My wife was telling me something. She had seen some video that had gone viral about some 12-year-old who was saying like, I can draw a triangle and I can do this and I can do that, but like I don't know how to balance a checkbook, or not that that's what people are doing anyway, but it proves the point that there are more things that we can be doing on a different level, different scale. And I think at some point, moving out of certain industries or just advancing and moving on, it's the way to go. I love the idea.
Yeah. I love the idea, and I feel at this point that it's not an if question for me, it's a when question. And that doesn't mean that I want to like leave, completely sell all my bags or anything. It just means like already my Twitter is not, if you look at the social metrics on my Twitter, I'm not most influential in crypto.
No, I post a lot of food pictures.
Yes.
It's a passion, right? Like food is a passion. There are things that are passions, and like I use my social media, yes, for this kind of engagement and work, but also for the passion. And I think, man, I was going somewhere else with that for a second, and I have lost my train of thought.
Okay. Yeah, I like the idea of transitioning to educate children about practical finance. That's useful for sure. I have a 12-year-old who I have to teach practical applications of money,
Yeah.
you know?
I think that, where I was going with that was, when we did you hear that?
Yeah. It
That was
stopped.
me. Yeah. When you think about, and all right, it's gone again. Whatever that sound was definitely got in my ear. It had to do with, how we're, golly, with the children and how the education system and anyway. Oh, there it was. At some point, and like you said, that's what it was. You're not going to sell your bags, right? People who still like they trade stocks, right? They're in these financial investment ecosystems. It's not what they talk about every day. So I think at some point that is just part of the maturity of life. Is like, okay, you're like, I've done my job here. Let some of the new people, rising up, let them be the evangelists.
Yep.
Like I'm with you. All right, but before you leave, you got to talk to me about some Pulse here.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, guys,
So
make sure you smash the like because we're going to talk about Pulse and Hex now.
okay, so you understand Hex, right? Like you're a 555 staker. I know you were given that like 1T share from the time that you came on Building Bridges.
Yes,
So
and to me, like the whole idea, and this is, obviously Ben and I had talked about this on his show last week or 2 weeks ago when he was still doing the live streams and stuff, and it makes sense, right? That Hex was the first true DeFi with the sacrifice of your Ethereum, bridging into another asset.
called a sacrifice at that point. You essentially put your Ethereum into the adoption amplifier and it was transformed into Hex, which I think a lot of people like that was a huge thing. But like, where does the ETH go? Well, if you bought the Hex on an exchange, no one would be asking where the ETH go. You just traded your Ethereum for Hex. It's just a clever way of using language, so that it wasn't categorized like an ICO.
Right.
But people just want to like get hung up on the smallest little insane things. And there was definitely a smear campaign against Hex and Richard in the very beginning. In fact, I saw it coming because I was working at a crypto media outlet at the time. So it was like sometime before Hex launched in 2019, I was writing for CCN, Crypto Coins News is what it was known as at the time. And that time, CCN was bigger than Cointelegraph or CoinDesk. It was the biggest crypto media outlet. And we got like a directive. It was write a takedown of Hex and Richard Hart. And I was like, well,
whoa.
Okay. So I was looking at it and I was like, so they want me to write a takedown, but like, what happens if when I do the research, I can't take it down? So I went to the editor and I was like, hey, you specifically only want me to look for the negatives here. And the editor's like, yeah, that's right. And I was like, what if I can't find them? What if I find more positives than negatives? And the editor was like, doesn't matter. And so that was when I knew that was like a targeted hit, and that targeted hits usually exist because of fear. And like if you're afraid of this product, it's because it's a threat.
And it was revolutionary, I think, too, right? Because nobody understood it, and that was part of the problem: fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The people were uncertain of what was going to happen, and so it brought on the doubt, and then that's where the FUD came from.
Yep. Well, I mean, also, I think that there were people certainly who understood the real threat that Hex posed to a lot of products that were out there at the time that were like getting a lot of praise, right? Like at the time, Celsius was out there saying, hey, you can stake any token that Celsius lists by giving up custody. And, there were all kinds of other products that existed that allowed you to stake tokens, but giving up custody. And so they knew that as like a real DeFi product where you maintained custody of your own tokens, that was a significant threat to those other platforms that were more widely accepted. And those platforms were more widely accepted because they had already paid off the media.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. In all the time that I've known you, I didn't know. I did know that you worked for the media outlet, but I didn't know that you were approached to write a hit piece about it.
and it's really what like turned me against I mean I had already like had run-ins working for the media where like they tried to dictate the terms, like you have to write it like this, you have to write this like that, and I was like, are we a journalism outlet or are we like covert PR? And the thing is, like, if I'm like my day job, right, the one that I get paid for is PR, so and it pays me a lot better than as a journalist. So they were like journalism, like PR covert covering as journalism and paying writers as journalists, which is like a fraction of what, you know, a PR is paid. Yeah, yeah.
That's well, so there was and like I was telling you before, and there was I'm sure people that have been kind of following my career throughout this industry would know that for a while I had a problem with Richard, and it was not, I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't like a big person or whatever, but when Ben and I interviewed him way back when Hex started, I like I said to you, like I was asking questions about the Howey test because that was the narrative at that point, right? Like that was the whole thing, like, oh, does it pass the Howey test? That's the scam and all that stuff. And so I just simply brought it up, and I'm sure he had heard it 1,000 fucking times at that point. So he kind of clapped at me, and from then, like, I held a grudge for a couple of years. I like, fuck Richard, like, who cares about that? He's an asshole. And I jumped on the bandwagon of saying, fuck that. But at the same time, I think after what we did so when did Hex come out? You said it was 2019?
Yeah, December 2019.
Yeah. Okay. So then we did our interview 2 years ago, so 2021. So it had been the course of a couple of years, and I think people are entitled to change kind of how they feel, over the several year course and stuff. And so, knowing
your worldview is like a sign of, maturity, right? If you are completely stuck and you can't update your worldview about things, then you've got a problem.
that is a really good point.
That's a Richard point.
I love that. And so, obviously everybody knows that, if you had followed like, Ben's channel and what was going on with Hit Network, a year and a half, 2 years ago, when Richard came out here to Georgia, that was an opportunity for, again, as my opinion was changing, that solidified the deal, because when I met him in person, he was way different than the character that I had seen on, first in my interaction with him on the interview, but then over the years, what you see him as online, and very humble, and he was a great guy. He was really nice to me, and so that was, like I said to you, that was the moment where my opinion changed of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I'm of the opinion that like it doesn't really matter. Like the founder is not the
The community is what matters.
Community, and also with Hex specifically, it doesn't actually matter at all, because it's a complete decentralized smart contract. There's nothing that Richard could do that would change the way that the smart contract operates. The only potential issue would be what the OA can do, and then whether or not you believe that like Richard is the sole arbiter of the keys for the origin address or not is like a different matter.
The whole thing, and I think what people were all had their panties in a bunch was about the ETH, right? Like, where's the ETH? Where's the ETH? Like, what does that matter?
But like I told you, it was insane, right? Because you put the ETH into the adoption amplifier and then you got Hex. It's really clear, it's really painfully obvious that you didn't lose your ETH. You traded your ETH for Hex. Duh! Like, it was just like, and that question was like being repeated over and over again, was like the most inane thing. So I could see Richard losing his shit on anyone who asked that question.
I mean, yeah. And that's the thing. And we work in the attention economy, whether people like it or not. That's and people like him, people like him and Ben, they know how to get the attention, they know how to stoke the fire, and they know how to, I think it's show the lifestyle of the luxury, the top is not even what I mean, just like over the top, just way too extra of what crypto can bring, right? And I think selling that lifestyle is what attracts a lot of people, but also rejects a lot of attention, right?
Sure, yeah, a lot of people are completely repulsed by that like outrage marketing, kind of stuff that Richard was doing before. A lot of people really are very, very turned off by that, but at the same time, like the price of the token was going down, right? But Richard's following was going up. So, and that's, that was, I think, what he was doing. And then there's, and this is pure speculation, right? But there's some speculation that all of that like showboating was to get the attention of regulatory agencies. And you know, that's possible. So
In order to start the conversation of getting that clarity that our
yeah,
industry needs.
regulatory clarity. And like I said, I don't know that that's the case. I'm not like speaking with any inside information, but it did seem that way to me. Like,
Mhm.
and then also calling the sacrifice for PulseChain. So when the sacrifice for PulseChain went live, it wasn't you were sacrificing tokens to get something in return. It was you were sacrificing tokens for free speech, and maybe you might get something for return someday, but you didn't have any expectation that you would. So having that sacrifice for free speech and then having this SEC case revolve around like blockchains being free speech, I would say is a pretty strong indicator that that was all deliberate and planned. But what do I know?
Listen, when you know people who are very smart marketers, very smart businessmen, you can start to see sometimes that decisions, as weird or as far out as they may be, strategically in the long run, might make the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, getting regulatory clarity, like it's not like you want the SEC up your butt, right? But like having regulatory clarity in a space where very few assets have it has to be an advantage.
Well, and not to like blow smoke up his ass or anything, but you know, obviously, like Richard had that thing buttoned down so hard.
Yeah.
He knew
Yeah.
he knew exactly how to do it so that he basically could flaunt it, like you say, get the attention. But it's ironclad. There's nothing that they're going to be able to do from that. They can
I
look at it if they
don't
want.
think that the SEC has a chance, but you know, we'll see.
We'll see. All right. So PulseChain.
Yeah.
I want to know a little bit more about it because you were telling me it's basically just like a fork of ETH,
Yeah.
faster, cheaper, stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So PulseChain is a fork of Ethereum, but not just Ethereum. It's all of the Ethereum system state. So the official fork took place on, I think it was was it May 10th? May 10th, right? So the chain went live on May 13th, but the actual fork happened, 3 days before, and things were happening behind the scenes. So anything that you had in a self-custodial wallet on Ethereum was replicated, and you now hold P assets of whatever that was on PulseChain. So if you had like Chainlink, that's a popular one that a lot of people had at the time of the fork, that a lot of people are holding even now, right? Like it's a beloved token. So if you had Chainlink, you now have on PulseChain P-Link. It doesn't have the same dollar value at all. In fact, most of the P tokens have very little value, if any. It's just a fact of like people haven't added liquidity. That could theoretically change, but I want to make sure that I'm giving people accurate information so you're not disappointed when you go to PulseChain and see you've got all these assets and they're not worth anything. So
but like you said, like with the potential when the ecosystem gets bigger and maybe the liquidity does get entered into some of these tokens, I mean, it could be a fantastic arbitrage opportunity.
Well, and there are people doing arbitrage things with some of the tokens. It's really a matter of like whether active PulseChain community members were holding those tokens is really the determining factor in like what's being done to try and bring those tokens parity or any kind of value. So one big example of an asset that a lot of people really liked and were holding was Crow. So because they want crypto.com to launch, native PulseChain support, and crypto.com obviously holds a majority of that token supply, so they hold a majority of the P token supply. So there have been people buying up P Crow, adding liquidity to the P Crow pairs on PulseChain. So that's one asset. If you had Crow at the fork, you may have some value on PulseChain. Link has some value. It's not much. Hex obviously has some. I'm not sure of all of the other assets that may have, but there are opportunities there for people to look into.
That's interesting. Now, are you, everybody's, on all the different blockchains, whether you're on Solana, Avalanche, Arbitrum, and I know Pulse because when I go on to Deck Screener, I
Uh-huh.
know that the meme coin season is in full effect. Are you looking at are there big meme coins in the Pulse ecosystem? Is that something that's flourishing like other blockchains?
Yeah, totally. Totally. So I would say that the biggest, well, okay, so it really depends on who you ask, but the biggest meme coin community in the PulseChain ecosystem, from my perspective, is HOA. So they're called the Tang Gang, and they do NFT, releases, primarily NFTs, inscriptions, ordinals, that kind of thing. But they do have a token. It's called HOA. It's Hex Origin Address Coin. It's making fun of the OA from Hex. But so the token is you can use that, you can hold that token, you can get like free NFT drops and then other like free mints and discounted mints from holding that token. They've come up with something called the infinite money glitch, where when you want to sell your asset, you add one-sided liquidity to a V3 DEX on PulseChain that's 9-inch. So you add one-sided liquidity and then you just get slowly bought out, and that doesn't negatively increase the price. And you're also earning fees on top of it for LPing while you're in so it's called the infinite money glitch. I think that's like a really cool little phrase.
Yeah, you're a
And
DeChain.
can learn a lot about how to earn a passive income from the Tang Gang. So I would recommend anybody who's interested in that, like, join the Telegram, look up. But here's the thing, the Tang Gang can, like any crypto community, be a little bit toxic,
Mm-hmm.
So
we all know that you're gonna get a slice of that no matter where you go.
yeah. But I just want to say, like, just because there are certain community members who can be a little bit toxic sometimes doesn't mean that there's not value to be gained
Right.
from, participating. There's another one that's really popular. So Atropa community is like a band of products. And their meme coin, I think, is Teddy Bear. And there's over 10,000 holders. I think there's over 11,000 holders of Teddy Bear as of yesterday.
Do you know how many active wallets?
That's a great question. I don't have. You mean for PulseChain?
Uh-huh.
I don't know that answer.
I wonder if there is a.
I'm sure that the data exists, and I just don't have it. So, and then there's this kind of an interesting one, and I don't want to give the impression that I'm like endorsing it or suggesting that people should certainly do this or like that's what's going to happen. But since we're talking about meme coins and we're talking about tokens being copied over, there's stable coins. So I have all the stable coins that I was holding in Ethereum now P stable coins copied on Hex or on PulseChain, and those tokens mostly have no value. And it's assumed that at some point USDT and USDC will use their admin keys to completely eliminate those tokens from existing on PulseChain. But the one that can't do that potentially is DAI. So P DAI has gained a lot of traction and a lot of people, and it's a speculative stable coin. So it's like a meme stable coin, maybe.
What's the price of it?
Great question. It changes pretty regularly. Is there anybody in the chat? Maybe, I don't know how many people are here.
I did look up the number that I could find as of 2 months ago. PulseChain had passed 500,000 active wallets in just the first 7 months.
Not surprised.
Yeah, and I assume it's obviously gotten a little bit larger since then.
So, okay, but so since we're talking about PulseChain and your assets, I don't want to like shill anything. I just wanted to share some of the things that are, being talked about in the community. But one thing to consider is if you want to know what you have, if you've got, your assets in a MetaMask wallet, you can just add Pulse as one of the networks, add PulseChain as one of the networks, and then you can go to a browser explorer and find the token contract addresses for each asset that you held at the time of the fork and add them. And then you can see those balances there. And then another amazing thing, I love Rabby wallet. It's
Oh, yeah.
Rabby Rabbit, RABBY.io. It's really similar to MetaMask. You can import your MetaMask wallet to Rabby. It has like a built-in explorer, so it will actually find all of the tokens that you have and then add them to your wallet for you, so you don't have to go through and search.
I love that, because so even if since the snapshot,
Yeah.
say some coins have moved, whether you've gotten out of that position, put it in a different wallet, whatever.
Whatever you had at the snapshot.
So that's why the Rabby would make the most sense, because it's going to just aggregate what you got versus you trying to figure out what you had at that time.
Yep.
Come on, girl, you helping us out here and trying to make the monies.
Well, I hope that it's valuable information.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting timing, right? And you got to think, we were just yesterday, Hex, Pulse, both listed on CoinMarketCap, and I think CoinGecko as well, right?
Yeah, so not listed, and like that's one thing people were really excited. Oh, it's listed. No, it's not listed.
Tracked correctly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're tracking the market cap correctly, because that was one of the things that for a very long time invalidated in a lot of people's minds.
Yep.
The project, because it wasn't shown in its true market cap. It was suppressed to be below 200, so like 203, whatever it was, when it was top 10 project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, I had been on my old show, Building Bridges, I think a week before I had you come on. And
yeah, he got an hour show. I only got like a half an hour. What's up with that?
I think we just ran out of stuff to. Were we not there for an hour?
No. So I know that I was. I think, in the mountains in Asheville. The internet was just a disaster at the cabin, so I had to come down to a Starbucks. And I think I had they were like, "Sir, you got to go," kind of thing.
Okay, so it wasn't my fault.
No, God, no, nothing's. It's usually always my fault.
Okay, all right, cool. Because I would feel bad about that.
Yeah, no.
So I had been on, and I mean, I was ripping into him, honestly. Like, I don't know if you watched it, but like, I didn't softball him. I gave him some hell because he was saying that like one of the reasons that he didn't like Hex, or that he wouldn't talk about Hex, was because it wasn't listed on major exchanges. And I was like, excuse me, what is DeFi? And then one of the points was he had said that, a bunch of assets nothing had performed as well as Cardano. And I was like, well, Hex has outperformed Cardano. He's like, nothing in the top 10. And I said, well, actually, Hex is in the top 10. It's just being gatekept. So having those, having Coinbase correctly allowing people to track their balances and the values, that is a significant add. That is, although there's this one qualifier I've seen on various projects that are trying to do crypto education for people. Hey, if the rest of the industry trusts it, that's a good idea, that you should trust it. And I would say that the counter is true, because just look, like most of the industry trusted Luna. Most of the industry trusted Celsius. Most of the industry trusted a lot of things that absolutely should not have been trusted. So like, don't do your due diligence based on what other people think. I write a column, like a monthly column called Confessions of an Industry Insider, where like I talk about all of the things that, you learn behind the scenes. And one thing that I'll say, everyone knew that Luna was going to crash. Everyone knew.
People said the same thing with Celsius. Like people said, and the same thing with FTX. You heard a lot of people who did actual due diligence into the company, from whether it was an investment purpose or people who actually do that kind of due diligence, said like, listen, man, there's actually this doesn't look right. Like I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I would say a lot of times whenever you see big crypto companies and, names kind of partnering with each other, that's a red flag, because what happens when one of those assets goes down is then there's a domino effect through everything else. You want things that stand on their own, not things that require partnerships and strategic alliances.
What do you think? So, and I'll take this to the next step, right? Because the biggest problem I think that we're going to continue to see is, as we have more automation in trading and we have more bots and all that kind of stuff, we're starting to see where if there is an isolated incident like this, it does trigger that cascade effect of now all of a sudden orders are getting bought or things are getting sold because metrics are tripping because of something. And I think the more that we integrate these automated bots into this kind of stuff, I mean, it takes what we know about charts, what we know about patterns, what we know about, say, a Bitcoin 4-year cycle, and just kind of flips the script on that, I think.
Mhm.
Anyway, you said you
Yeah.
had some tough questions for me.
Okay, so yeah, there are things that I need to talk to you about, right? So
Perfect. Let's get into it.
in the last week or 2 weeks, Ben has been, kind of sidling up to the Hex community, like, doing streams with Hexo, doing things with various people in the community. And I mean, I was a friend of Ben, like way back when. Obviously, I had him on the show, even though I threw tough questions at him. And then when I came on around the blockchain, in fact, like kind of made fun of everyone who worked there. He never ousted me from his, communities. Like, in fact, even when other people were mad at me about Hex stuff, there was one time I got thrown out of the influencer group because I said something like Richard was right. And I wasn't being rude. I was like joking around because I don't know, you're not super active in there. I haven't been active in there really since this either, but like, and Crow threw me out. and and then Ben was one of the first people to stand up and be like, hey, what rule did she break? She expressed her opinion. She didn't name call, like, even though I've been kind of a bitch to Ben, like
He's got tough skin. He's fine.
yeah, but so I have to say though, like after everything, the way that everything went down, like it doesn't when I hear him now like talking about Hex and Pulse, like I get the ick. Like the a physical feeling of repulsion where I'm like, oh, I don't like him talking about this,
Yeah, I think from his perspective, and I get it. I trust me, I get it. From his perspective, I think he now understands the way that, with how he's been treated, how he feels he's been treated, how things have gone for him, right? He can not only empathize with the way that Richard's been treated by this industry, I think sympathize now at this point, at least in his own mind, right? And so, and I'm not.
That's a careful distinction there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be diplomatic there. So I do see, because I've had conversations. He was in here for a couple hours today. We were recording some of stuff for his channel, but the whole idea of kind of coming together, knowing that the rejection that people have faced and the scrutiny that they're under, I can understand why the connection is trying to be built there.
Sure.
And I listen. I read the comments on the videos on the social media posts and everything, and I know that it's there's some people hate him and some people love him.
It's not like a hate. I mean, I feel like some of it for me is like tied to, I don't know, ego a little bit, because when I tried to reach out and like befriend you and Ben, and did befriend you guys, and started coming on around the blockchain, started like doing things with streamers outside of the Hex community, mostly the community itself got really accusatory toward me and kind of was like, hey, you can't do that. No, we don't want these people brought in. And now it's 2 years later and everybody's like, it's not, the issue is not people talking about the asset, because it's a free market and anybody is free to talk about whatever they want, right? The issue that I see is not that like I have an issue with Ben talking about these tokens, right? It's the issue like where I feel like everybody in the community is like lining up to like lick his butt. And I'm like, not at all. It's gross,
it is met with a mixed bag, right? And I have some people saying, hey, listen, like, if he's going to bring, whether you like him or not, like the attention that he does bring, we talk about the attention economy. We talk about the fact that, he's already got this channel that's about to be 100,000 subscribers after starting fresh. Like he does bring with him attention, right? And some people are excited about that. Some people are not.
Yeah, so it's a question of whether it's like a negative attention or not, because like it or not, like whatever, his personal life is his personal. I don't care about any of that,
Right.
you
Same.
know?
Yeah.
Um,
Everybody's got their own life. I'll worry about mine. And
about his like judgment regarding crypto, I feel is negative. You don't know.
I mean, no, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let him navigate. You
of
know,
course. Of
his
course.
channels.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to like I feel like the need to say this stuff
Yeah.
because
Listen, I love it.
yeah,
It's real, right? It's
yeah,
transparency. It's how you're feeling. It's how a lot of people are feeling. The if whether it's cathartic because you get it out. You get to listen. I'm a sounding board. Like these are concerns. Like when him and I talk, it's like,
like
listen,
I
man. Like,
don't hate the guy, you know? I don't know him. Like,
yeah. Well,
but
he's misunderstood. Like, listen, and that's why I said that. Like, when you think about how Richard is completely misunderstood in this industry,
yeah.
completely misunderstood. Ben is the same way.
Yeah,
100%.
okay, but comparing Ben to Richard is a
Oh,
little
no, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not. Those they're two different things. I'm just saying, and Ben does bring a lot of stuff onto himself for sure. We
yeah,
know that. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, I'm just saying that, and I think that if we could we're just gonna go with there are two misunderstood gentlemen in this crypto industry. If and I know that they have a relationship that I think was repaired when he came here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, honestly, there has a lot has happened since then, so I have no idea where that stands or, I don't wanna speculate on that.
No, all I know is I like for me personally. And listen, I'm in the Quattro Cinco Club.
Yep.
I am going to participate in the Pulse ecosystem.
Okay.
I love Corey Costa. I love chatting with you.
Mhm.
My phone's ringing. I'm gonna silence that real quick.
Okay.
And so I have a different set of opinions and values on a lot of things. And so Ben will be Ben. And I don't know.
Yeah, no.
And,
I
and I hope that if Ben is welcomed into the Pulse ecosystem, then it's not like you said, like a butt licking thing. That is not how this should go.
I
Like
don't need the butt licking. That's the issue that I see is the butt licking. I don't like it at all.
yeah,
Um,
no, there's no room for it. There's really it's not productive to crypto. It's our ecosystem's too small. Like I think challenging thoughts and having thought provoking conversations like this, Nicole, are like
right.
more of what needs to happen.
Yep, I agree. And I mean, I didn't like the butt licking when it was all licking Richard's butt either. That's no good either. I don't like it then. I don't like it now even more. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like Ben has been given a lot of chances.
Mhm.
I hope that, it's a case of continuing evolution and that things really are improving there, in terms of like him learning about something. But I mean, we've seen him do this with like various ecosystems, and I just don't know. I really just came here to express that and also just to talk to you because it's been a
I
long
love
time.
that. No, that's great. Listen, from the conversations that I've had with him, I know that his intentions are pure with coming into the ecosystem because of again what I've laid out and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I think, and does my camera keep freezing?
No.
Oh, okay. It shows me that I was. Sorry about that. I think that as whatever. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It doesn't matter what I think. I'm with you.
Yep.
I just hope that as our ecosystems mature, as we come together, whether it's now Pulse and Hex are welcome into the broad crypto ecosystem now that there are we've got a true market cap and all that stuff, and so people can actually understand maybe what's happened over the last couple of years with misunderstandings or suppression or manipulation, whatever it happens to be. Because I happen to think that that would be something that would make sense. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. At all.
Oh, I so am.
I'm a truth seeker. I like to say that I'm a truth seeker, not a conspiracy theorist. We do conspiracy theory week every couple months on the show in the morning. So if you're ever up at 9 a.m. Eastern, tune
You
in.
know what? I think you've invited me to come on before. I should, because I like a good conspiracy.
Oh, and I'll tell you what, the first week that we did conspiracy week, I got my YouTube channel shut down for 10 days
Ooh.
for medical misinformation.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
We
now
we're just having conversations, but
yeah,
somehow medical misinformation.
yeah. Yeah. What did you say? Ivermectin?
I mean, we were definitely talking about the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say the C word on YouTube, apparently. I learned that.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I had gotten obviously I'd gotten shut down for 10 days. I had been I had to take like a course in community guidelines and all that stuff, and I had to make like pretty much an oath and a promise that I wouldn't do this again. And I want to say that sometime in the middle of this month, my community guideline strike goes away. And so like that makes me really happy. Like I feel like I've graduated.
Yeah, exciting. Have you thought about doing streams directly to X because they're less likely to be censored?
So I do. So everything, all the streams are multi-stream. So right now we're streaming to YouTube and X as well as Rumble.
Okay.
So for a while I was streaming my morning show to LinkedIn as well. But my friends, we decided to make our show DGen because we were talking about things that, I mean, LinkedIn is saved for the business world and we were not talking business.
Yeah.
We're DGens, right?
Yeah.
Like this kind of show, I should be broadcasting this one to LinkedIn because
Yeah.
the world needs to know about.
Not a DGen show. No, you should have someone like a PulseChain DGen on sometime to talk to you about all.
You are a PulseChain DGen. Listen, you
I
told
am
me
not.
about all the.
I'm not degenerate enough. I'm not degenerate enough.
Let
I
me ask
just
you a question.
do a couple of things about theoretically degenerate plays you could get into.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
This was my buddy Machiavelli had said this a couple months ago, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm all for this. But DGen,
Yeah.
I'm from the decentralized generation. That's why I'm a DGen. What do you think about that?
I love it.
It makes it a little bit better to stomach than saying I'm a degenerate.
I love it. I love it. But you know that it already exists. Like you would have to be a high level PR campaign to change the meaning behind DGen. We could do it. Like I'm down. You want to do it? I'm a PR agent. We can do it.
Let's
But
start a DAO. I usually we start about a DAO a week, not like for real, but like in the conversations that we have, usually some form of a DAO concept is what gets built up in a show. And so we could definitely start a DAO. I know a lot of people are into that. I'm not really into the concept of a DAO. I feel
no,
like we're way too political and like, you
yeah.
know, like if you want to add something in, you got to have the vote to make sure that you can even add something in before you get to the vote to add something in. And then you really got to think about all the different stages before all that. And then there's about 5 other things you got to do before you even get to that phase. And no, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm not a DAO guy.
Yeah, no, I don't want to manage it now. I live in the US too, so there's all kinds of, implications there.
Would you ever leave the US?
So I have a 12-year-old and her dad lives here and we co-parent like extremely well. We're very good friends with each other. I would not take my daughter away from her father. So unless I could convince him that we should all move somewhere else, which seems unlikely, I'm here at least until she's 18. Yeah.
Okay. So if you could live in another part of the world, uh, where have you been that you would like to live?
So, I mean, I used to live in the Middle East. I was doing the reason that I even got into crypto was because I saw the opportunity to apply the research from my dissertation
Mhm.
to the study of cryptocurrency, and that's what I did. But I lived in the Middle East. I was getting a PhD in religious studies, so I've lived in Iran is where most of my research was done, but then I've also lived in the United Arab Emirates. So that's Dubai,
I want to go to Dubai real bad.
Um,
What was it like? Because culturally things are way different. You know, what was it like? What was your experience in Iran?
Iran.
Yeah.
So Iran is kind of like a unique place in the Islamic world because before the Iranian Revolution in the 1970s, people had a lot more freedoms, where today things are a lot more restricted. But for the most part, the young people's parents remember what it was like to live in a time and a place where things were better.
Hmm.
So Iran is like a really unique case study in the Muslim world. But then, you go to places like Dubai, right? Or places like, you've been to Dubai, right?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
Oh, you've been there.
well, I assumed that you had been because of so many crypto things and conferences, and I thought you guys all went to Dubai a couple years ago. I don't know.
No, that was making him a joke. No, that would be a great assumption because a lot of the groups did go. I was focused on some other stuff, so I did not make it to Dubai. But I think probably in the next couple of years I will be out there.
But so, I mean, there's some really cool things about Dubai where they still do have a, Muslim government, but they also cater to a Western like tourism audience. So it's not like if you want like dressing modestly there is open for interpretation, where in Iran it's not. You have to have your hair covered, your elbows covered, and your ankles covered. But in Dubai, you don't. You could dress. I mean, like it would be wise to make sure you are covered, perhaps better than you would in the United States or in the Western world, but like just out of respect, Okay. But it's not mandated.
It's interesting. So as a tourist, Dubai would be a better place to be.
There would be nothing different about how you dress, even in Iran.
You're talking about as a male.
Yeah, as a man. About you, there would be nothing needed to change for you whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, except for that you also would never approach a woman in Iran. Like if you had a question or something, you would never, but you would need to always approach a man.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, sorry. Of like, yeah, this is a whole other thing.
Yeah, living in the Stone Ages. I mean, it's everybody's cultures are different, and I'm not here to judge cultures. All I know is that here in America, we respect our women. We give them an equal opportunity.
Yep, that's true.
Well, thank you. This was fantastic. Do you have any other? I know that you wanted to talk about the Ben thing, and I'm glad that we did.
Yeah, thank you for letting me get that off my chest.
Oh my God, of course. It's not a big deal.
Mostly like bootlicking is gross no matter whose boots they are. Like
bootlicking. You were saying bootlicking.
I was saying butt licking.
Oh, okay, because I was like, man, I misheard you. Oh wow.
No, I was, but then I realized that bootlicking is better.
Yes.
Bootlicking is gross no matter whose boots they are, because boots touch the ground, they got shit on them. Like, you don't want to be licking anybody's boots. Please stop licking boots.
Don't lick boots and don't lick butts.
Don't lick boots.
Don't lick boots. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun. Any final thoughts? I'm going to learn, just so you know, I'm going to learn more about the PulseChain meme coins. I'm going to get into those. I'm going to find some stuff. Maybe you can degen out with us. If you've got any other, obviously I'll talk to Corey. But if you got
have a Moon King be Roots. Moon King be Roots. Have him on.
Moon King be Roots. Get at me, dog.
Yeah, Moon King. Hit Justin up. Don't lick boots. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I want people to have from me. Don't lick boots. It's gross.
There you go. You heard her. Well, we will be back. Today's what, Thursday? Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow morning for Web3 breakfast, and then I've got the JPEG Junkies on tomorrow for Web3 breakfast. And the JPEG Junkies are the NFT collection that was started by Justin and DZ over at Hit Network. And so they wanted to chat with me. They wanted to spill. Hey, this is it's a big week, I guess.
First,
huh?
So this is the first like collab with Hit Network.
No. So they did the NFT collection.
Yeah.
Justin and DZ from Hit Network did.
Yeah.
And then basically abandoned it. So the community has picked up the scraps, and so they want to do like a show and tell tomorrow. So like bring your popcorn kind of stuff. It's gonna be juicy. Plus, they said they got some other alpha. They got some things that they're cooking on. So it's not all bad. It's not all doom and gloom. We're gonna talk about some good stuff too, because they are moving the project forward as a community. So make sure you guys smash the like. Appreciate you being here. Give Nicole a follow. NrdGrl NrdGrl007.
NrdGrl007, no vowels.
No vowels. That's a good way to do it. Nerd Girl, no vowels. All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Nicole, again, I appreciate your time. This was fun.
Bye.
See ya.